بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. The first major fiqhi rule, القاعدة الفقهية الكبرى، الأمور بمقاصدها, that all of the things, all actions are by intentions. This qaida, this rule, is derived from the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, verily that deeds are by their intentions. And this caused a great number of scholars to consider this to be half of Islam. And some of them considered this to be 1/3 of Islam, because intention goes into each and every single deed you know of. And I'm talking about deeds, things that you do, because actions are either things you do or things you do not do. So if I tell you, don't eat, is this an action? Some say, yes, it is an action, because you are stopping yourself from eating. And some they say that this is leaving. If I tell you, perform wudu, this is action. And if I tell you, do not touch najasa, do not, this is not an action, because I'm telling you not to act. So it deals with everything that you actually do. And it is not sufficient only to have the intention. You have to have action with the intention. Allah Azza wa Jal always tells us, الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, those who believe and do righteous deeds. Allah says in Surah Al-Mulk, الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةِ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. It is Allah, ayah number 2, who created death and life to test you, who is among you the best in deeds, not the most, the best. And how do you become the best in deeds? By being sincere and by following the Prophet ﷺ. These are the two pillars for accepting any of your good deeds. Whatever you do, they have to have these two pillars: sincerity and following the Prophet ﷺ. Because even if you have good intention and your acts are not in accordance to the Sunnah, does Allah accept this? Allah doesn't accept this. If someone says, I am sincere in what I am doing, I want to help my father to become a good Muslim, is this a good intention? Said, yes. But my father doesn't want to pray, so I will hold a stick and start beating him until he prays. What are you doing? He said, my intention is good, Sheikh. But this is unacceptable. This is not acceptable at all, because the way you're doing it is wrong. So you have to have these pillars so that the intention would be accepted. Now, intention goes in so many things. It goes in zakah. You differentiate between zakat of gold or zakat of silver or zakat of fitr or different types of charity, whether it's mandatory or not. It goes into fasting, because if you do not intend to fast tomorrow at night, tomorrow is Ramadan, and you wake up after Fajr, can you fast? No. You have to have the intention before. And likewise, what are you fasting? Voluntary, white days, Monday, Thursday, or expiation because you have kafara, or is it making up for Ramadan, or is it Arafah? What is your intention? Oh, all of this. No. You have to have a proper intention to differentiate between all of these things. Also in Hajj. Is it mandatory Hajj? Is it Hajj for yourself or Badal Hajj for someone else? Is it this type of Hajj? You have to know the different types of deeds. So am I doing tawaf? Am I doing sa'i? Am I staying in Arafat? Am I staying in Mina, etc.? Also in jihad, you have to have intention. How? The Prophet ﷺ, a man comes to him and says, "O Prophet of Allah, a man fights for money. He wants the booty of war. And a man fights so that people would say, MashaAllah, he's very brave. And a man fights because of the kingdom or the country that he wants prestige and he wants a position. Whose among these is for the sake of Allah? Whose jihad is correct?" He said, whoever fights so that the word of Allah is the highest. So even in the same scenario, all of the four died in the battlefield. They were all brave fighters. 3 of them will not enter paradise, only 1, because of the intention. So the intention is very important. Likewise in divorce. The divorce is also related into the intention in some incidents. If someone is laughing and playing with his wife, I say, Wallah, I love you so much, you're divorced. Does the divorce take place? Yes, it does. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, 3, whether you're serious or playing, take place. Marriage, divorce, in one of the narrations, setting a slave free. So if someone is sitting with his friend and is there playing, said, "Yeah, Shaykh, I give you my daughter in marriage to your son." And he says, "I accept her marriage to my son." And there are 2 witnesses, khalas, it's married. He said, "I was joking." He said, "No, this is something you do not joke with. This is a serious stuff." But in some cases, the intention is applicable. For example, someone is writing on a paper, "I divorce you, my wife, the one I love." And the wife immediately snatches the paper and says, "Ha ha ha, I'm going to court. You have divorced me." And she goes to court and the judge brings the man and said, "Did you divorce her?" He said, "No, I was testing the ink. I was just testing the ink. Well, she's a crazy woman." Does the divorce take place? It doesn't. Because this is not saying. This is a writing scenario that may be trying. If someone, for example, says to his wife, "If you go to your father's house, you are divorced." And she goes. We have to ask him about his intention, because this is called a conditional divorce. And it depends on his intention. If he says, "I just wanted to prevent her from going," this is a yameen, an oath. We tell him, give expiation. And if it is, "No, I intended to divorce," then the divorce takes place. So intention is very important. This rule can be applied, if you understand it, on everything that you almost know of. Now, there are 3 main categories that this rule is applied on. And the first rule is the things that are related to contracts. The first thing is things that are related to contracts. And there is one rule that represents this. And this is a sub-rule from Al-Umur bi-Maqasidiha. What is the sub-rule? They say, Al-Ibratu fil-Uqud bil-Maqasidi wal-Ma'ani la bil-Alfadh wal-Mabani. I'll repeat that. You can write it if you wish in Arabic. Al-Ibratu fil-Uqud. What counts most in contracts. Al-Ibratu fil-Uqud. Bil-Maqasid wal-Ma'ani. What counts in contracts is what is meant and what is intended. Not la bil-Alfadh wal-Mabani. Not by the words or the structure of the contract. What does this mean? It means that when I have a contract with an individual, what counts is the intention and not what is written down. Because this is something that Allah Azza wa Jal would hold us accountable for. And I gave you the example of, if I tell someone, "I will sell you my watch for free." Now, this is a transaction. Is it selling and buying? The answer is no. If you look at the words and the structure of the contract, it is, I sell you, and you say, I accept. So this is the same structure and wordings of selling and buying. But scholars say, no, what is intended? The intention is to give a gift, and therefore it is not considered to be selling and buying. Likewise, if someone says, I'm buying something from you, you have a shop, and how much is this? You say it is $1,000. And I say to you, okay, take this watch as a deposit, and I will go and bring you the money tomorrow. The rules in fiqh, and this is important for someone who's studying the fiqh rules, qawaid al-fiqhiyya. You have to have knowledge in fiqh itself. Otherwise, this is not going to be beneficial. Is there any difference between deposit and what they call as mortgage? We have a short break. After it, inshallah, we will discuss this a bit further, so stay tuned. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. So, the question that was posed before the break, is there any difference between a deposit and what is known as mortgage? In Arabic, it's called amana or wadi'ah and rahan. There is a great difference. Now, a deposit or an amana or a wadi'ah is when you give something to someone for safekeeping, and the rules that fall under it are different from rahan. What is rahan? Rahan is when I borrow something from you and I give you something as a mortgage, something that if I cannot pay back the loan, what can you do? You sell it and you take your money and you give me the rest. This is called emphasizing or ensuring or safekeeping a loan with something that can be sold. The rules are different between wadi'ah, amana, and between rahan. So on the surface, they look the same. I'll give you my watch. This is a deposit, wadi'ah, for safekeeping. When I come back, I will take it from you. I give you my watch because I borrowed $1,000 and you want to ensure that I will give you back the money. Otherwise, I will go and never come back. What is the difference? The difference is that this person who has the wadi'ah, if it was destroyed in his possession without any wrongdoing of his, there is nothing wrong on him. So I come after 1 month and I say, where is my watch? He said, wallahi, I was in my home. It was in a safe. And all of a sudden, the home was on fire and everything in my home was destroyed, including the safe and your watch. Do I have the right to say, give me my watch? Give me the value of the watch? No, I don't. If I kept 100,000 euros with him and it was burnt or stolen, he is doing me a favor, so I do not have any right to ask for it. So it is different what you intend. So if I tell this man, I'd like to buy this and I'll keep this watch as a deposit, it means that he's not allowed to use it, even if I don't pay the loan back. And this is an issue that a lot of the Muslims make a lot of wrong things in this regard. A lot of the brothers take money for safekeeping. So I'm traveling. I go to someone, I say, listen, this is 100,000 euros. I don't trust banks. I'd like you to keep it with you. I will come in 1 year time. He says, okay. Zallah khair, is doing me a favor. Is it permissible for him? The money is with him. And he has a lot of money in the bank. He has a lot of investments. Is it permissible for him to take 5,000 or 10,000 to use and then return it back after a week or two? Permissible or not permissible? It is not permissible. A lot of the brothers now, if you give them something for safekeeping, they have no problem in using it, in investing it, and maybe losing it, thinking that I have money, I can return it later on. This is totally prohibited. So in the case of wadi'ah, he cannot use it without my permission. In the case of mortgage, of rahan, no. If I don't pay off, he has all the right to take whatever I kept it with him to ensure that I'll pay back the money. He can sell it, but he cannot possess it. Now, a lot of the people also, when they lend people money, so they say, keep your car with me. He borrowed $1,000 and the car is worth $20,000. So after 1 month, if he does not repay the money, what will happen to the car? He will take it all. This is riba. This is totally prohibited. And they do this in some pawn shops, where you give them something valuable and you take money, and if you don't return it, they take the valuable thing, though it is 5 times, 10 times more expensive than the loan. This is haram. This is dhulm and oppression. In Islam, it tells you, yes, you guarantee that the money goes back to you, but don't take more than that. Sell the item, take your 1,000, and the remaining, whether it's 5 or 10 or even $1, give it back to the owner because it is his. So this is the first part with us, which is the rules that are applied from the general rule when it comes to contracts. The second type is when it comes to deal with oaths, yameen. Because as mentioned before, the intention is very important, is very relevant to the yameen you make. And they say there are different scenarios for that. They say that the intention generalizes what is specific and specifies what is general with the intention. And they give an example. A general oath, lafz aam, in al-yamin. I'm swearing, I'm giving an oath, and it's a general oath. If I say, wallahi, by Allah, I will not speak to anyone, and I am saying this after fighting with my wife. If you fight with your wife and you're so angry and you say, wallahi, I'm not going to speak to anyone, this is general, including your mother, your father, your children, your neighbors, your boss. What was his intention? His intention was not to speak to his wife. So this yameen, this oath, though general, the intention made it specific, and it made it specifically for your wife. Likewise, the opposite. When you have an oath that is specific, but what is meant is general. If someone says, by Allah, I will not drink the water of Ahmed. Now, he specifically chose water. So if Ahmed makes him coffee and he brings it to him, he says, yo, Jazakallah khair, thank you. Coffee is not water. No. When he said that, he intended not water, he intended everything that is coming from Ahmed's side. This means that no water, no food, nothing, so that he would fulfill his specific oath. It was changed by the intention to become general. And this is one part of doing it. When the oath specifies a general or generalizes something that is specific. The second type is when you make an oath and what is meant is your intention, not what you say. And this is all related, by the way. All the 3 types of oaths, they're related to each other. If I say that I have a shop, someone comes to me and says, how much is this? And I say, it's 10 riyals. And he makes me angry. He says something to me that makes me angry. I say, wallahi, I will not sell it for you for 10 riyals. And then he says, okay, sell it for me for 9, or sell it for me for 11. And I said, okay. No, this is not permissible. Because my intention when I got angry was not to sell him anything, whether more or less. So this goes back not to what I have said, but rather to what I have intended. And the last type of related oaths to this qa'idah, to this rule, al-umur bimaqasidiha, when it comes to the others, not to me specifically. Because when I make an oath, when I say wallahi, if this is related to me, then this is my intention. But if it is related to someone else, especially when in a court of law, then this has nothing to do with my intention. For example, I took money from you, and you went to the judge, and he said the sheikh took money from me, and I say, wallahi, I did not take money from him today. I don't say it, but I intend it, because I took the money from him last week. So I said, wallahi, I didn't take the money today. Does this count? Scholars say no. Though the intention is correct, that I'm not saying a lie, but because it is in front of a judge and because it has relation to someone's right, this is only counted as it is. So this is the only exception from the rule, al-umur bimaqasidiha. What is the exception? Is when there is rights for others and you intend it so that you can consume their rights and oppress them. Do we have any questions? Yes. Okay.
Regarding the contract and everything which you are saying, all these rulings, are they actually directly based from hadiths what the scholars derive, or they just gain it from some other sources as such?
First of all, we've mentioned this before, that not all the rules are stemmed from Quran and Sunnah. There are three sources. Either it's from the Quran and Sunnah, either it's the consensus of scholars, or it is taken through reading all the fiqh chapters and the Quran and Sunnah and coming up with this conclusion. These contracts that take place between individuals, they are not related to specific verses of the Quran or the Sunnah. When it comes to transactions, it is open, meaning that you can make any transaction you want, providing it does not go against the Quran and Sunnah. So if I say to you, I want to sell you my watch, and I would like to charge for it XYZ of money. Someone comes and says, give me the proof from the Quran and Sunnah. You cannot have this. Allah says, وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعِ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَى, which means Allah has permitted transactions, selling and buying, and forbade usury or riba. This means that any type of selling and buying is halal, unless there is something that makes it haram. And these transactions are in the same fashion. I sell, I buy, I give you something to ensure that I will pay off my debt, or something that falls under these lines. This is all halal. Unless you provide me with something concrete from the Quran and Sunnah and says that no, this is cheating. Cheating is prohibited. Okay, it applies. We don't have transactions. This is oppression, dhulm. Then okay, this is haram. This is riba. Then okay, this is haram. These are the things that you have to look at and see if it fits to know whether it's haram or not. Otherwise, it is halal. This is all the time we have. Until we meet next time, fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.